Yo, 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 yo. Has not been market-wise a boring afternoon. Just give me a second. I'll just give it a quick voice record. Yeah. Okay, Neo, you won't find them if you've got a bonus account. If you haven't got a bonus account, just add the code INTC dot to your watch list and then you should find it, but not in the bonus account. Okay, I hope that understood. I'm in the trading room now, so hope you can work that out. Cheers, hey, bye. Good. Okay, half past. So it's 4 o'clock. A few things to discuss now. Okay, before we go any further, I'm looking at the Intel one. Don't forget, if you don't like it, don't do it. If you do like it, getting a better price. One guy asked, can I still go for it? The ship sell? Clearly not, it's a better price. We want it to go down. So don't put a sell stop in. If you do like it, go to market, get a better price. Okay. Simple as that. Okay. Right. Yeah, see what happens now. Okay. CHF, we'll start with a good one. AUD talk the lights out. Well done, the guy came up with the idea in the trading room. We agree with it. And people did well out of it. However, I'm going to be honest with you, it helped a little bit with some sort of funding. Now, I understand the CHF, but the JPY, I haven't had time, to be honest, it's been going like the clappers this afternoon. So I haven't had any research on what's happened in Japan. I assume that G20 meeting in India's finished. So what the hell's Japan coming up 9 hours ahead with some funding? I'm not quite sure. So that's confused me a little bit. So any brain boxes there have access to finding out and do find out what happened to Japan, don't know, because we had a strengthening of the Japanese yen and we had at the same time a weakening on the Swiss franc. Now I got a trade idea, oh God, no. I have a great idea to switch Swiss franc JPY to buy. I'll put it on the daily, and there's a good reason to do that. I like the Swiss franc. I talk about it coming back, and it was around about this sort of level here. I can't remember. I'll tell you what, I've got it written down. Yeah, what about the 145.50 mark? Something like that, or 145.60, right about that level there. Came back support, and I thought a good one to buy to take it up, and it did move up. And then suddenly, if you look what I mean on the hourly chart, look at this. What's the time now? 3, 2, 1, 12, 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, it came down 350 odd pips. When that happens, it ain't something that Roger got a signal wrong or his technical analysis is incorrect. It's clearly a fundamental. I don't care if you've never done it before. You're not going to get it that long in such a short period of time without aid of fundamental news. Always remember that. So I'm trying to encourage people to come to the trading to understand the differential. I think, what sort of bloody trade is Roger coming out with a buy on that one? Clearly it was a sell. No, it wasn't clearly a sell. What happens? Fundamentals. I'm glad you not quite in there. Mara, I find he's not quite with us yet. He's really good at research. Yeah, not quite with us. Now he's going to delay us. Murphy's Law. Come on, let's join. Naturally, I wouldn't have joined. He's still joining. That's get to explode. That's what the commentator is first. He's here now. Fine. Sorry, just rushed in. Got a bit of homework for you. Find what's happening to Japanese yen. Never had a chance to look. But going back to what I was saying, two things occurred here. The Japanese yen, I'm not quite sure why, like I've just mentioned, strengthened. Swiss franc weakened. That I do know why. Right, I got the trade out, and naturally, as I got the trade out, the information came in, because I got it out around about these levels. It came back, and then suddenly it shot down. Why? Because the Credit Suisse, we had some problems with that a few months ago, and the Saudis backed it. Right. Well, what's happened now, and I'll read you the update to it. Just give me a moment here. Put it slightly better than the way I put it. Let's have a look. Where is it here? Okay. Credit Suisse shares tank, and that's obviously Swiss franc. It's a big bank. So obviously affects it after Saudi backers rule out further assistance. Just leave it at that. You can research more depth if you want. Don't spend all day, because that's the meat of it. The details, if you want, it's all there. The bottom line, I found it, the bottom line is the backers of the Saudi are not going to give you further assistance to Credit Suisse. They didn't get themselves out of the problem. Remember, I think it was Mark actually came up, I can't remember who it was, a few months ago, said it went bang up. And I said, no, it didn't go bang up, but it was having problems. Now it looks like it's having more problems. And it was assisted then. It's not getting assistance from Saudi backer now. So it looks like the situation's going to be where it could go and have a serious effect on the Swiss franc. Strongest now is weakened because of that. So unfortunately, with that bright idea of mine, by sheer incredible bad luck, I picked the one pair that had two fundamentals going exactly the opposite direction. The funding for the Japanese strengthened it, and the funding for the Swiss franc weakened it. And unfortunately, I've decided it was a good idea to go along. I must admit, everyone did agree that chatted to. And of course, then the damn thing fell out of bed. So I've been unlucky before, but to have exactly the same pair, but both of them were affected at that time in the opposite direction, then you know, Bertie's got it in for you. You get my point. So it's not an excuse, and I mean this, to say I got a trade wrong. I'm saying when that happens, that's a fundamental. And but just that never happened before. We've got one pair with both having a fundamental acting at that point, but the opposite way around. So I'm selling the yen and it strengthened, and bought the Swiss franc and it's weakened. You get my point. So that one turned out to be an absolute disaster. So somebody might say, so oversold, how if you chase it now? We've done that a couple of times in the past, not with great success. If you're highly aggressive, it might work. I think we might have tried that just now on the hourly chart, and he did pop up. Look, then it came down again. Probably better to say, I know you're smarting, but hopefully you did well on the AUD Japanese yen. Some guys, I think, has joined us now, was Dirkie Krugel. He actually moved it. He's just starting. He had a sense he's born with to move the TP because he saw, hang on, this is moving. I'm going to use my brain now. I'm not going to, you know, and just go blindly, parrot fashion. I think this is looking good. Why get off the winner? And for a beginner, I'm quite impressed with you. I think you're on it. If you're not, well, I'm impressed with the guy behind his back. And he modified the TP. Oh, no, it's in come a 4:15. That's right. And he modified the TP, and then he modified the stop. And eventually stopped out on the AUD, and he made a fantastic profit, basically. And that's how he did it. So that did very well. And unfortunately, this didn't, for the best will in the world. All right. Okay. It's all over the place at the moment. The gold, here's another one. The gold's probably confusing the hell out of some of you. So discuss that one. Got in a short, and it went down to the figure here. What a pleasure. Now, some guys modified the stop, and came back and didn't make much money, but certainly didn't lose on it. And some took a profit anyway for whatever reason, I don't know. And that's fine. Then look at 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, it shot back up again. Then what happens now? I'm just going to finish this off, State, because that's what people get an idea what the hell's going on here. Teresa, that's what I'm trying to explain now. So I'm not too much chat around. I'm looking at the chart here. It's on 2 screens. You get the idea. I'm looking here, but I'm not. I'm looking across there. Right. So now that shot up. Now we come back to the mentioned before. You have the dollar index. That goes up. So the dollar index goes up. Gold's doing it fine at 1885-ish, and then shoots up over the next 4 hours. The best part of $40, $50. Why? Right. Fear factor gold. It goes the opposite direction of the dollar, but no, it's going the same. Why? Fear factor. Moody has now gone released about 5 weeks, 5 was it 6, right about that. Banks in the US are already in trouble. We now know about the Credit Suisse. Now, the Credit Suisse in Switzerland is a big player as well. So the fear factor of what is happening is coming clearly in. So the dollar is strengthening because it looks like instead of going into gold, which is a bit of a fear factor, they're suddenly saying, well, hang on, maybe the dollar, maybe it's back to interest rates. It could be some sort of strength coming out of the dollar and not the banks or something in that line. But anyway, the dollar decided to strengthen a bit. But however, the gold went shooting up for that fear factor. What else created? If you got the yields, I'm quickly shot over to my other screen there. The yields came flying off. Right, but if the yields go down, it's good for gold because the opportunity cost, it means the interest rates are coming off, which you can get from a no-brainer, like on a bond or a safe deposit. So it makes it more popular to put your money in gold and hope for decent capital gain. So the next question is, the dollar's going up, that's fine, I mentioned that, but why is the yields coming off on the bond? Right, we talk about these banks. Now, remember I mentioned to Candice yesterday that they're liquidity for the depositors, but they're not going to bail out the banks anymore. And quite rightly, why should I? It's not fair. It's not right. I don't bail you out if you're a cock up. So I can't go wrong if I'm a bank. If I go cock up, this is another word, then the banks bail me out for going to keep the money. That's just not on, you know? So I quite agree with that. The problem is that now that they've got to get money in, the US got to get money in. We can't start putting up taxes. They're pretty heavy taxed anyway. Plus, it's political suicide. Remember, to stay in power on a democracy, you've got to get votes. To get votes, you've got to do things that please your voter, obviously. And putting up taxes does not please your voter. So what do? They've got to go and borrow it. So they start issuing bonds. 10-year notes, the biggest trade in the world, so issue more bonds. When they issue a bond, they're buying it. If you buy something, the yields go in the opposite direction. The yields come off. So the yields coming off propelled gold, the fear factor propelled gold, and the moving up of the dollar was not powerful enough to stem the sudden jump from a lovely profitable trade into a stop-out trade. That's why I keep saying to guys, important to modify your stop in a decent profit. It was on about $12, $13, $14 profit in one stage of trade. Don't leave the stop there, modify. It might get stopped out with $1 profit, it goes on, hits a target. But I'd rather that than you leave it a winning trade turn to loser. And a lot of guys, unfortunately, didn't do that. I do know a lot of guys who've been in the trading room who couldn't make today because I've been in contact, did do that, thank goodness. But that's the value. So the guys who modified this morning on the gold, as mentioned, shouldn't have taken a smack on it. The guys who didn't touch it, unfortunately, would have been stopped out. But those are the fundamental reason behind it. Nothing to do with trading or technical analysis or expertise at that level. It's other mixes of news and worrying and things coming out as we stand. That's why we need to modify to protect against these unknown sort of metaphorical bombs going off, if you see what I mean. So I hope, Teresa, and some guys, we can now see some, it's all after the effect, I know, but at least is some sort of reason behind it. What happened to the Japanese yen, Franny? You're a researcher, if you can find some out there. The Japanese yen strengthened. Some of the G20 still going months later in India. That's packed up and gone home. What the Japanese are going to suddenly do, what's their 9 hours at 10, what's at 9, 6, 25, or 1 o'clock in the morning in Japan, to suddenly, or 10 or 11, or whereas last 2 hours suddenly strengthen the yen. I know. Don't mention what happened first thing this morning, because that was first thing this morning, that was hours ago. And I mean, we can get slow reactors in the world, but that's pushing it. If your reactor needs 10 hours something later, you get my point. So putting that together, that's been a certainly interesting afternoon. So we're doing well in gold, we're doing bad in the NZD6, we're putting GBP CHF wondrously in the AUD JPY, and then turn out the CHF JPY technically was clearly, I'm not boasting, it was clearly the correct way because we know the stronger one only stuffing off is a metaphorical bomb going off underneath that currency when you're buying it, and that's why it came off. Hope that rather long tirade makes some sense. Okay, guys, that's the reasons. That's why there's no such thing as a no-brainer, and can be a position sizing. And double top, Bollinger Band, those sort of things, forget it. That will move it. There's an enormous amount of fear out there. Moody's now come out with that because they have to come out with information. Does create panic. The newspapers do tend to put it out there. Human beings full of fear, panic, and having 5 other banks in problems. I think we'll just wait for a major trigger. I think we've got in. Well, I think we're seeking up for a major fall. But don't sell everything short now and put your house on it. Obviously, might take another month or two, but it's getting near to. It's getting pretty bad. It's getting pretty bad. And I'm not talking about your personal politics here, but economists are not voting Powell as the greatest economic president the world's ever seen. And that's not helping the matter either, if you see what I mean. Okay. Whether you support him or not, because he's a nice guy and he wants rights for women in Mongolia. It's very sweet and lovely. But from an economic point of view, we'll have to look at the underlying factors. Who is going to pay? And somehow the hated capitalist is usually the guy who has to cop up the bill. And if it goes under, he loses a job. Well, the bureaucrat, just gets bailed out and goes on strike for more. So, yeah, it's a bit topsy-turvy, but anyway, see what happens. Now, some just WhatsApp me in the trading room. I think it's a regular, so I'll answer it. Okay, buying Brent. Clearly, that went down on the back of most of that dollar increase that we just had recently. It took out 105 from 103.1, an enormous big increase in the dollar just lately. Lucky you, in the end, with the euro dollar short, you picked up in the CPI yesterday. If you did as I said, close the opposite one that wasn't filled. If you weren't filled in either, close with demand. If you filled in one, had the stop loss of 1.0770, it would have hit TP and gone through actually. So you've got out a lovely winner in the end. So that would have been the correct thing to do. And I did advise at the time, so I'm happy with that. Problem is that sudden bullets of motion and stuff coming out at the moment propelled the dollar up. Now it makes Brent more expensive in dollars. Obviously, Brent came off. Fortunately, it stopped us out at 75 or whatever the stop loss was. So the question now is, it's so oversold, do we look to maybe having another shot at buying it? I'm always a little bit loath to suddenly chase a trade you lost on to give another go. And you've probably had experiences fine. I know you have. You've gone again, it's come back and bit in the second time. Now you're not a happy chappy. And sometimes you go in a winner and you chase it the second time and then it comes and takes some of your profit away. I get all that. Putting that together, it's taken out, let's take it a week. It's taken out the previous one here. What's it got? This is a bit of support down here going back to September 2021, which is what, about a year and a half ago, plus minus. Yeah, the problem is it's broken through this little bit of support here. Is that going to remain, or are we going to get some buyers coming in? It could come back to 70. My worry is, not my worry, it's my thinking, not my do worry, wrong word. And my thought is, will the Saudis be happy with a $70-odd a barrel when they've been used to 80, 85, up to 90 and more for the last several months? Never mind the Saudis, who don't have enormous amount coming in, cheap cost to bring it out of the ground. Although they increase infrastructure, it's not a problem like a lot of other countries. Remember, a lot of other countries mortgage the oil income, mainly borrowing against the oil income, that's what it means in English. So they can do all sorts of other things with the social things like freebie stuff, whatever. And they now have to maintain that, which they did it at $80 or 85, wherever they did it. now they might have a bit of a problem there. So they might be start saying, let's start looking at maybe padding the taps a bit to force the price up. So yeah, I think there's a good chance now it's getting pretty near the bottom for the producers, and they might start having a look at that factor. Do I think it should go in now? We've just been smacked by it. We've got the first one right. We went in again, and this one, unfortunately, fundamentally driven. As you know, you can see that red candle. That's a fundamentally driven one. Do we want to chase it now? I'm not so sure. I think we should just take a step back and just take a deep breath. It's going around so bloody quick that we don't want to get too carried away with it and jump in suddenly and try and do a revenge trade or whatever. You might miss it, it jumps up. I'm gonna leave that with your thinking. Do you want to chase it here? Or do you want to say, I'll take a breather and see what occurs and we can look at it tomorrow? Either way, it's very, very much in oversold territory. You can see it on the daily, actually on the weekly. You get my point. Are we agreed on that analysis? And what sort of feedback do you feel on that? Euro, yeah, I can look at the euro. We should put the euro against Euro GBP. I think Lagarde's speaking. When she's speaking, still of the. Just quickly check the fundies. If you haven't got it, tell me, and I'll copy and paste the economic calendar for you. Just get this out of the way so I can see it. What's today? Nothing much today. What about tomorrow? Get these all getting in the way there. Tomorrow, euro. Interest rate decision tomorrow, 3:15. Okay, there we are. Expecting a 0.5% increase in the euro. Sorry, in the interest rate decision tomorrow. Expecting 0.5% increase, and it's coming out tomorrow at where's it gone now? Interest rate decision. Where else it gone now? Oh yeah, there we are. 3:15 tomorrow. So what I think of the euro in the meantime, well, it's about the best I can say. With me? I'm not going through all that again, Saint. I hope you heard my explanation just now. I've just spent the last 10 minutes talking about that, so I'm not going to repeat all that again. Okay, so yeah, so euro, well, as I said, not much more I can say on that. Okay, the other one was gold. Our good friend Gerard says maybe we can buy Brent and gold. Sorry, and sell gold overcooked. Probably is a bit, but a bit of fear. I'm just going to give you a quick voice message. He's regular and pretty good, so I heard that. Just give me a second. Yeah, hi, Gerard. I'm just in trade with now, but I'm sending a quick voice message. The Brent, I think, is really on support. It could go up. I think gold's probably overbought a bit, but there's so many reasons why. I haven't got time to train to explain why. That's up to you. You do it as you have done before, but I think for me personally, I'm just going to just stand aside and let this all this stuff sort of settle down. Let the dust settle a bit. There's got quite a bit's going on. I haven't got time to explain on this one now. If you're in the trading room, well, it's a bit late now to explain to everybody. But anyway, there's lots of reasons behind it. So I'm going to just let the dust settle on those two. If you want to do them, you can. Because I personally agree. They're a bit oversold one and overbought the other one. Okay. Right. So that's just sorted out there. Okay, good. So, right. JPY. CHF JPY, so it was a disaster. Again, because that was quite a miracle, that one, to actually get both at the same time. That must be like a million to one. To actually get a fundamental coming out on both of them, and not an unknown one. If it's an economic calendar, it's different. Then there's no excuse. I missed it. I should have done. But that came out known about the Credit Suisse and what the Japanese are still going. The Japanese suddenly strength, the Swiss weakened, and you're going and you're suddenly yen and buying the Swiss franc. That's talk about a double whammy. And look what happened. Look what happened. Put on the hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, maybe 6 hours. It came off over 400 pips, and it came off the majority of it in the last couple of hours or so. Suddenly decided, bang, bang, bang. What a pity. Nice retracement for a buy. Looks like that might technically hell, but I don't know. It seems to be highly aggressive. Why do you say I'll chase it now after that sort of move? Anything could happen. Okay. All good. But just at least now we're learning how much unknown fundamentals can play a part. And some to get it lucky. The AUD, JPY, we got it lucky. You're not going to get that kind of movement without a fundamental help. Remember, whoever got the trade idea out says, well done. Well, after the trade was right, but when you get this kind of movement in one day, it's 240 pips. Let's look at an hour chart. That suddenly comes off like that. This is in 3 hours, 4 hours it came off. 200 odd pips. That's a fundamental. You know what I mean? Yeah, Derek, yeah. But I was getting fantastic, but bear in mind, that's a fundamental helping you. So you've got to be careful not overdo it, because you get a brilliant trade, very strong. It's a weak one, bounced off the high there. You know what I mean? It's on the buy zone, bounced off. You go in over the top, expecting Christmas Day to come early, and then a fundamental comes in, an unknown one, not the economic calendar, and then suddenly it falls out of bed. Now you're fed up. Okay. You can get it right, sometimes lucky, sometimes not. That's a flip of the coin. The point is you're getting it. And the other thing I did like, the fact you had the gumption to move your TP, because especially in the beginning, you forget that. And we're all just as bad. Sometimes we're on the SL, forget about the TP. It rams in your TP, out you go, and it does another 100 pips, and you could have been on board. So you had the sense to get out of the way, modify your stop loss, and even then, you have the sense to say, right, start back up again. We don't want to lose it all. I'm out of here with a fat profit. That's a professional way to do it. And for a guy who started trading, been doing it for about 5 minutes, I can safely say that's quite something. Don't want to embarrass you, but that's took most people a while to get that kind of thinking. So obviously you're going in with probably a professorship in common sense, because that was very good. And you made your own decisions. You thought, you know what I mean? You used common sense, made your own decisions. No, that was good. Very well done. I thought you were already in it, Marius. Oh no, Marius, so I'm thinking fine, you about. That's actually not doing too bad. That's been jumping around like a cat on a hot tin roof as well. Look at this 15-minute chart. I'm going to be dead straight with you there, Marius. I don't know. Refer to Derek. He seems to know what's going on. Derek, what do you think? Is this too late to join it now? No, I'm only teasing now. I'm not sure. You see, it's 1.1100. Look, it came down here. It's on the 15-day chart. Sorry, it came down here to round about that level, and it bounced. Tried again, and it bounced. And this 1.1, I don't know. It seems to have some traction of holding it. I'm not sure, Marius. We've finally got in. I'm happy with. I think you're chasing a bit now. Maybe wait for a break or get a better price if it jumps. But it seems to be battling. Sorry, I'm on the wrong chart here. Seems to be battling to hold. See that? See, it comes off, bang, it goes up. Comes off, goes up. Is it going to break, or is it going to have another bash up? And remember, the pound is weakish, but you're now buying the Swiss franc, and the Swiss franc is a bit of an issue with the Credit Suisse. And yeah, Credit Suisse. Now you're going to say, well, that's the case. The pound's not, why is it not why has the pound come off? In theory, that should be going up. because of the Credit Suisse situation. So that's fooling me around a bit. It doesn't make a lot of sense. That in theory, I'm glad it's coming off, so we're short, but why is it coming off? I know the pound is weak, but you get my point. That the funding weakens something, when there's the power of the peso, that side goes up as the other one comes off. So I don't think you should be chasing it now. No. I think just leave it for the moment. It's bouncing back up again. Leave the bloody thing. If you're in, hold it. I'm just worried about that, Frank. That Credit Suisse is important. The Mickey Mouse family-owned bank. It's a big deal, and I'm worried about that. The backers are pulling away. It could have some problems. It's not the end of the world. They're bigger than that, but it can cause some damage. It won't kill you, but it could give you a bloody nose. Yeah, well, that's another one. That's the Swiss franc again. Trade's fine. The funding we cannot do anything about. In fact, it's not too bad. I thought it was going to be, I would be stopped out by now. Consider that we sold it and bought the franc. And with that funding coming out, I thought it might have shot up. Because I was looking last time, it was up here somewhere, the stock was up here. Maybe it's a bit quietening down on the news and the franc. I have no idea. I don't think most guys out there either. I think a lot of this jumping on is either profit taking or people just emotionally buying selling without really knowing as to why. Just sort of looking at the movement jumping around. But yeah, sure, hang on in there, it's the best I can come up with. I get very nervous. I think it was Teresa was mentioned. I get very nervous when I'm trying to communicate with a person who's drunk or high on drugs, because it's irrational. And at the moment, there's a lot of irrational unknowns happening, and that makes me nervous. Okay. I think it's got a great potential on normal circumstances, Morris. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. But as I say, these are extenuous circumstances, so you just got to take them into account. Okay, but we're on the right page here. Same page, not the right page, sorry, same page. Okay, I did a Zoom meeting on the micros at 1 till 2, so it might be a slightly truncated version of the shot on today, because I'm a bit zoomed out actually. But having said that, if there's stuff going on, we'll still do it. But the point is, anybody who attended it today, did you find a value? Do you find that you thought it's worthwhile getting the micro? Those who attended my micro session at 1 today. All over the place, isn't it? Just, I think a couple of people are in there. If you don't want to reply, it's up to you. Do you know how the micro works? You got it, Derek? Oh, all right. So again next Wednesday. If you remind me, I'll post it on something for you. Derek, do you know how the micro works? The difference in the micro and the normal one? Because if you do, there's no point. Just going through the mechanics of what the difference is. Because it's very important. Well, there's no point in missing it. You put some effort into this, aren't you? Just shows what can be done. Unless this guy's some sort of secret Einstein. Hope you're not. Hope you're ordinary. Because encourage other people ordinary. Shows that put a bit of effort and a bit of thought in. It's almost lightning speed. You seem to catch on to it. I'm seriously impressed. Sorry, embarrassing you, but hellfire. What a pleasure. Teresa, yeah, it's just again next Wednesday. In the meantime, strongly suggest you get a micro. If you can add it to your watch list, it's worth it. If you can't, just go to open up another account, choose the micro option on the portal, and then have it. It just means the contract value is 10% of the normal. So when you're risking, let's say, 500 Rand on a micro on the normal, it's only 50 on the micro, which means without putting yourself under stress, financial worry and stress, you can trade the NASDAQ with a much smaller amounts of money, which basically means, all right, smaller reward, but it'll take a lot of the stress out and build confidence.
Uncle Roger, can I speak? Ask you a question?
Of course you can.
If you look on your watch list, Market Watch, on the left-hand side.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, 1 second, Finey. 11, absolutely. Come to NAS in a minute. Absolutely agree with you. A lot of problems out there. Sorry, go to the watch list. Go on there, Finey.
Go to Tesla, and you will see that the daily movement is 000. It's not showing whether it's going up or down, although the price has fluctuated. So if you go to the other CFDs, it's exactly the same. All show 0 movement.
And it clearly happened. No, I knew when you asked that question, I was about to go in the trading room. I'm not blowing wind up your ass. You're clearly a highly intelligent person, knowledge. So I knew you meant a bit more than that, but I hadn't got time to go into depth because I was coming into the trading room. So I'm glad you came to explain what you meant. And now I get it completely what you're talking about. I take it completely. Okay. Yeah, I get it now. But the other, and remember, a lot of people ask very basic stuff. So I naturally answer the basic, like the car's broken down, just check the oil. Have you got oil? Have you got fuel in the tank? And some people say, no, I'm a bloody engineer. I'm not asking you a question like that, and I'll be more in depth. I respect you for that and understand that, but I haven't got time to research before going to the next step. Now you've clarified it for me. I get you completely. I don't think it's a major issue because we're getting the movement, etc. But I'll just mention it onto the chart. I'll just look at it. Thanks very much. Just give me a second, okay?
Thank you.
On trading support. Group there. Right now, right, a second. Now it's not moving. Chatty thing. Do it this way. Quicker to type it, it's not moving the computer for some reason. Trading. Yeah. Okay, thanks for that, finally, great. Okay, I just want to quickly check to see how that Intel's coming on. INT. Yeah. Good. So the guy's gotten a better price. Remember, I mentioned all the time. Derek, you get this. If I say sell at this and you like the idea and the price is higher, you don't want to put a sell stop in. You want to go in at market. He's getting a better price. You get my point? Not just Derek, everybody else out there. So if you get a trade idea to sell at 28 and it's 27.50, you question, am I chasing it? If it's 28.50, and of course you don't like to trade, it's suddenly going wrong or wherever you leave it. If you still like to trade, just had a bit of a bump up on opening or whatever, you're getting a better price. So what a pleasure, take it. Who wants to buy at a worse price or more expensive price to get the idea? Yeah, Jack's just come on. He's pretty jacked, is Jack. She's a pun. Yeah, but he's checking it now. No, Morris and find a very clever guys. They're actually nearly as clever as me. Well, no, not that clever. No, No,
We,
thanks.
we're learning from the best.
That's right. That's right. There's no harm in blowing some smoke at one's ass, even if BS. Yeah. Thank you very much. Anyway, yeah, keep the smiles coming, especially in times of fundamental bloody irritation of the world markets. Okay, so yeah, right. So it seems to be coming back, and oh yes, Linvin, I think I pronounce it. Yeah, short the markets. I think there's big problems coming up. I really do. I mentioned that more than once. Whether it gets a bounce up and stops you out in the meantime, I can't make that in the short term guarantee or anything like that. But overall, if you get a micro with a decently wide stop, I absolutely think so. I think that's the way to break the 12,000. We can have a look at it. The Dow hit the TP, so that's fine. I think somebody else won the Dow again about 12.2 and it came right off. So what a pleasure. Look at both of them if you like. We're going to go short. I want a decent stop out of the way. In the daily, I want this stop out of the way. The beauty is we can afford it to be out of the way on the micro. That's the beauty of the micro. Where's it now? There. So let's see. Maybe we can do 300 or 400 pips. Get it right out of the way. Make it 12.5. We want it right out of the way. 12.5, and it still should be affordable. And then maybe we can take it down to, make it a long way. If we can get a good run down to 11,000, there we are. Something like that. See, 80 bucks, so that's possible. If you think I'm overdone the stop and you want it tight, I'll do it with pleasure. If you want to say leave and get a better price, I'm happy with that. This is a forum we discuss. Some guys are trading more than 5 minutes here. Their opinion is important. So I think most of us will agree with what's going on with banks and governments, and hassles and debt, that we're not going to see 15,000 for a while yet on the NAS. So what do you think? A tighter stop, or what do you reckon? But yeah. Well, I hope the long call wasn't a CHF-JPY laugh out loud, Marius. Oh, I am all. Must have a little bit of fun. Seriously, I'll get back to that. Said, what do you think? Short at market with a wide stop, tighter stop, leave it. What do you reckon? You prefer a tighter stop or, on this one, Levin, because NYC tight stop is good on that short NAS. So you're happy with that? Do you want to do something on this line with a wider TP? Might take a while to get there. You always modify. He gets here, you take your profit. You're smiling. It's just nice to get the stop. I just like to get out of the way in case some bloody silly thing happens. You starts shooting up again, completely outside your control. But I think it's just having a go and bouncing through the 12. Let's have a look at the shorter term chart. See, as it pops up, that's only 200 pips, remember? It's the 4 hour, remember, not the daily. Sellers come in. Pops up, sellers come in. Let's try the weekly. Same principle. It's right. Yeah, okay. Sellers coming in. And the 1 hour, same story. Pops up, sellers are coming in. Happy with it, this wide stop? You see, if you did on the normal, Teresa, NAS, that would be 800 Rand for 0.01. But the mic is only 80 bucks. Now we can talk. You get the idea. Unless you got a few $100,000 in your account, then go to the wide stop. That's not a problem. That's why it's saying when you got a lot of money and you got a lot more freedom, diversity, you many ways to skin the cat when you got Big Tom. But in haven't, you got to make plans around it. So if you can get the Big Tom, so you like it. But I'm afraid I agree with you. I hope we get better luck than the CHF-JPY. Okay, anyway, point taken. Anyone want to do that? Unless you're already in, don't forget. If you're already in or you haven't got enough free margin, leave it, clearly. Yeah, I totally agree. She's not stupid. That's job come back. That's exactly on it. Okay, he's come back. He's got to the point. He's right on it. I say exactly what he said. Hi, guys. We'll rather reset all system laters. Now at least the share price are moving for now. Absolutely. It's not a break. This is not really a big deal. I mean, how many, I don't really look at this so much. How many guys look at this? Did you know the GBP ZAR dropped 4.9%? And quite frankly, do you really care? You're into the price action and the pips you're making. And I totally agree. So you'll reset it later on when it's all quiet and then take it from there. So just let it run. It's noted and it'll be sorted. It's nice to have it right, but this was not moving. Different ball game. You with me? Teresa, I strongly suggest you become very familiar with it. I'm not sure I should be saying that to a lady. I'm invited to be familiar with the NAS. Who knows? But joking apart, sorry. I very much get the micro. If you don't get it, if you don't have the micro, even if you've got a reasonable account, I can't remember, I think you might have a reasonable account. Don't worry about it. Get the micro just to get the confidence build up with small amounts. Doesn't matter if you don't make a fortune out of it. At least you're getting the idea. And then you can do some trades with wider stops. And there's far more you can do. You're not restricted because the previous one, it was just too hectic, if you see what I mean. So very much. And what is nice, I don't know a person out there who doesn't want their particular trade unit to move. Who wants to get driving and attend a traffic jam? Is there anybody there? So, oh, no, I rather don't want to be on the open road. I want to join that lekker traffic jam. Nobody. So we want it to move, and this thing moves. So it's, yeah. And then, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Teresa, absolutely. I'll just do a quick, what I mean by that. It's the contract size of difference. The Dow's the same, and the Dow's the same. Contract size in the micro, if you look at it, is 1. So for 0.01 is a 1 contract. 0.01 on this one, the contract size is 10. So 0.01 on this one is equivalent to 0.1 on the other one. So in other words, 1 micro on there is like 10 micros on this, or 1 micro 10 minutes. And that was the problem with some guys had when they had other platforms. So using us, because they liked us, liked our service, had it open, but they're also using other platforms where the contract was different. And it's like 10 times higher on oil and 10 times higher on gold. And you get a trade idea from this platform saying it's, let's say, 100 rand for 0.01. And they said, right, I can afford 1,000. I'll put 0.1 on the 10 times the contract. That's equal to a 1.0. So they were 10 times overexposed. If it went well, happy days, break the champagne open. If it didn't, you're broken in two because you're 10 times overexposed. You think you got a 200 risk, no, it's a 2 gram risk. And before you know it, you're in trouble. So always check the contract size. And there's nothing wrong, you have 3 or 4 platforms. You might want to trade crypto on Joe Bloggin's Stockbrokers Incorporated. We got it there. Nobody stop you. It's your choice. You can take it out on Mutual. You can take it out in Liberty Life. That's your choice. Obviously, when you come here, but that's your choice. But if you do, get a signal for us. Just for goodness sake, check that contract size before you go in with the designated risks that we issue. I hope you understand that. I think so, yeah. Thank you. Not sure about the word bomb. Bombs, like they do in Hollywood, means it's lost. God, this film bombed means it lost money. But I take your point. Thanks, London. Thanks for that.
Okay. Hey, mate, is this a trade or you just explaining?
No, it's a trade. I like it. I'm explaining because the trade's up there to Teresa because I'm trying to encourage her to get involved with the Nasdaq on the micro. But that's a trade. I like
nothing on Nasdaq, ne?
This is the Nasdaq, yeah. We'll do the Dow in a minute, but this is the Nasdaq, yeah. I'm saying that's 80 odd bucks a micro on the Nas.
Can I take this one?
Yes, wide stop, wide TP. That's what it's up for. It's not an example. Good. Sorry, Ken, quite right. Sometimes an example. No, this I like. And the guy likes quick trade, which I now like him. Came up with the idea, and I agree. That's why I interrupted with Farney, even though I had an important point, but because the trade idea comes first. That makes sense. So even when I'm talking and you come up with a trade idea, I've got to change tack. But it's the truth. The only exception made to that would be to Liz Hurley or Miss World. That's different. I don't think Liz Hurley has got a 1,000 rand in the council. Yeah, it is below, but technically speaking, I take your point completely. But I think with the fundamental world problems having out there continuing, I think this will be overcome. But I take your point. You see what I'm trying to do with the trade room is combine the technicals with the fundamentals and intertwine them, if you see what I mean. Okay. And there are times when even it's up here, I think it's a sell, or down here, I think it's a buy. You get the idea. Now look how fundamental can change things. Just quickly go to CHF JPY. It's a classic example. In one day here, it's gone from a strong buy for a fundamental movement right through down here to practically get into the sell zone. You get the idea. That's fundamentally driven. Hope we're all on the same page on that one. Going back to the NAS, you've done all that. Can I take it off the NAS? Coming off as we speak, actually. It was at 1280 just now. Okay, we're all good. Can we move on? Sorry, can I answer your question all right? Are you good? Are you a cool man? Good stuff, we'll move on. Okay, good. For those of you, sorry, I'm embarrassed, a lot of people are embarrassing Ken now. He's done this for a while. So quite frankly, I'm sorry to put pressure on you. When he says something, it's worth listening to because he's done it. It's got experience. Okay, and that's important. Okay, so we learn from everybody who's got that experience to pick stuff up. Right, down, same trouble. Some guys might still be in it. We've got about 32.2, about 700 odd pips in profit. Move your stop down the normal way. Is it worth joining now? I'm on the 15 minutes, tells me that's all. Let's have a look at the week. Are we chasing it a bit here? I think we got the NAS out. I think we'll let the Dow go. If you're on board, enjoy it. Modify your stop. So you're going to have a profit, whatever happens. But I'm not sure I'd be too keen to join it now. Let's see if we can get a bit of a bounce. You might miss out, but maybe get a bit of a rally to sell it down again. But I think most of you guys who joined it would be smiling now anyway. Okay. All good? Very good question. Right. You can't trade the S&P now. We have just to come answer question on it. We've had some data glitches with it. Not our fault, as I mentioned the guys in the trade room yesterday. It's some problem having an MT5. It's a separate company. Remember, we're a broker like many of brokers that join this particular platform, and it's causing every time it comes off, people will say, "Why is it coming off again? It came off 2 days and now again." It causes more problems than we want to have it. So it's closed zone if you're in it, and then probably going to leave it behind. My answer to this is, why would you want to trade the S&P when now you've got the micro NASDAQ? Now, so clearly forget the S&P, there's no point. You know what I mean? Number two, you're going to ask now, why is that? I'm telling you right now, it's emotional. Sometimes things get sexier than others, just emotional. S&P was very popular several years ago, and then the Dow became more popular, and then COVID NASDAQ became more popular. Now, let's call drug A, drug B, drug C. Now, we'll call it N drug and D drug and S drug, right? Now you get hooked on the N drug, which is a NASDAQ. You don't want to shift, you know what I mean? So a lot of people now have come completely hooked on the addictive process of the NAS, slightly lesser extent on the Dow. But they couldn't trade it and get, because their drug was too damn expensive. Now they can get hold of their drug. Can't think of a better way of explaining it. So there's nothing more, just lost over the emotional popularity. But now I'm saying to you, why would you want to do the S&P when you've got a faster mover by the NASDAQ, which is now more affordable? What's the point? Right, no, Saint, no. The 0.01 is the smallest position size, but it's not the same on every instrument. It depends on the contract size. Let's say you've got the Dow Jones 0.01 the micro, contract size 1. If you go 0.01 on the Dow Jones, the contract size of 10, there's going to be 10 times the difference in value between 0.01, the two of them. Do you understand what I mean by that? If not, maybe finally that can help you out. Okay, you've got to grasp this. You need to go to maybe a couple of classes. Will come to next week's Wednesday explanation. But the basic maths is this is a contract size. I'll do it once more, just so you can grab it. Contract size here is 1. 1 contract size. The normal one is 10 contract size. See 10. So you put 0.01 on the let's say it was 18 rand on the NAS on the micro for 0.01. You go on the normal one, which is 10 times the contract size. The risk for 0.01 won't be 800. That is where a battle of people getting this sort of concept. You've got to get it. If you don't get it, try again. Do not move forward on even touching the indices if you don't get. In fact, all trading is going to be beyond you unless you get that basic arithmetic or mathematical, whatever you call it, concept. Once you got it, it's actually quite straightforward. It's just getting your head around the concept. Okay. Yeah. Nice one, yeah. Okay, are you happy to say you've got to? I'm not being forceful. I'm being forceful because it's your sake. You've got to get the concept. It's basic arithmetic. Go through it in your head or ask or whatever. But it's one contract's 10 times higher. I can't think of any way of explaining it. Anyone not got that, by the way? And someone might be explained a little bit better because it's important the guys understand it. I'm pretty sure some other guys still not understanding it and too frightened to say so. You've got to, because you can't understand the basic arithmetic. Trading is going to be, well, it's going to be an uphill battle. That's pretty mild. No, you haven't. I'm talking about Saint. Because that's the battle having a lot of people. They're not getting the concept, and it's hitting them. And these guys are not millionaires. You know what I mean? When they at least can afford it, it's something you can't clean up.
What's up there?
What's up, Doc? That's a really good trading advice there, here. That's mutual. Okay, very important. You've got to get these bits and pieces on the maths. Otherwise, you're driving too fast and get to come back on price. Okay, so the Dow, we leave it for now. I'm knocking that off. The NAS you might take, remind me of it. I've got it written down. Something already, but just remind. Now, let's have a look at this. Anything happening to the Brent? That's what I said. Thank goodness it probably better leave it. Still falling off. It might come off a bit further. I don't know what's happening at the moment. It might even come back to 70 bucks. If it comes back to 70, unless there's something drastic, that would be a high probability buy for a trade. Not just because it's come off so much, it's like that's some profit-taking bounce, short covering bounce. It's simply because, oh, fine. They're not going to have the producers out there happy with that price, and they've been used to $80, $90. So they can manipulate the supply and demand production. So that's, keep an eye on that. Okay, if you don't follow Saint, you're going to have to go and wait till next Wednesday, which I'm doing another 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock session to go in purely for that detail over an hour. I can't do it because most of the guys understand it here and they're looking for trades and other aspects into it. So do that. And if you know what I mean, be careful trading the indices if you haven't got that specific concept. One's 10 and one's 1, 10 times the difference. Work that out in your head and it'll sort of come into place. Well, you come back to 50. I've seen it go to 30 in the past. You know what I mean? I've seen it go to the best part of 200. 200 may exaggerate. I don't know. Anything bloody happened. Is it like is the question you mean? I don't think so, no. Let's go to what Brent here. Sorry, let's have a look at it. See, it could come back here. So you get my point. So all I'm saying, Mark and guys, if it gets back to 70, technically, I think it'll get a bounce. I think we'll get a short covering bounce, if not many buyers attracted. But I think you're a producer of oil and you've got all this infrastructure and stuff going out, social welfare, all costs money. And that's built on, let's say, an $80 price. It's now, you still got the costs. They don't go away. It's like you're taking out a 10 grand a month in your fancy Merc. If you're on a 100 grand salary, they suddenly chop you to 50 grand salary. Well, you're not going to get much sympathy for your neighbors who are on 10 grand a month, but they won't understand your stress because you've got a 10 grand out going out on there and your house is 20 grand a month because you're on a 100 grand salary. You can't go back to 50. Same sort of principle. So I think they'll just sort of have to increase the demand by cutting the tax, my opinion anyway. But that's my opinion, okay? And I think it makes a bit of rational sense, doesn't it? Because a lot of these oil borrowings, they borrow, that's Dubai had a bit of sense to build up some other structure. But a lot of these guys are completely dependent on the oil revenue. And that's going to take a smack. That's several million per dollar movement down. There's like a few million a day lost in income. It's a bit like my wife wants to go to the hairdresser every day. It's a worry. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yes, it does a little bit. Well, actually, a reasonable amount. The injuries come out Wednesday at 5:30. I get that. And remember, they can open up pipelines and produce more. It's just the green guys, the Greenpeace guys, didn't like it. Biden was bought into that because he cut deals. What Biden believes in is nothing to do with the price of eggs. He does his bloody well told because he cut deals to get there. Whether you like Trump or not, he finds himself. Biden didn't have the finance. He's got to cut deals to get there. Like much as not as bad as that, but as over here. But then like Zuma cut deals with the Guptas, otherwise because he didn't have the finance to get that. So he'll go along with the expediency. The point is, the expediency was the I forgot the name of the bloody pipelines now, were cut down. Didn't like the fracking for whatever reason. It was green, and went on this warpath, save the planet, etc. Which a lot of it is emotional rather than factual. That's another discussion. Well, we're all saving the planet, obviously, but getting the facts correct. And a lot of it's emotional sold out there rather than actually backed by facts. But if they want, they can get a hold of it and then start producing there. So if it got to 90, they could do it. Well, back to 100. But I think the stability would be around about the 80 mark. Yeah. Yeah, short term, yeah. I hear you. But I say they can always increase. So when it gets to 70, if it looks like it's getting there, don't sell it short now. You missed that. Gets there, I think it's going to hold. I think it's consolidate. I think it will attract buyers. And it will attract short covering. All know what I mean when I say short covering, bounce. Means you're exiting by buying your shorts to get out and you're getting the bounce. I hope so, Mark. Because then you net it exactly. So you board it up here, and well, probably a bit higher than that, but you know what I mean. You board it up here, and if you buy there, and it gets here, you net it out. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I wasn't going to put that. I knew that. I wasn't going to put it. I'll leave that to you to admit it. But yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I knew that, but it's not for me to say. You can with pleasure, not for me. It's not for me to say that Farney's got $2.5 million US in the account. I'm not allowed to say that. Oh, sorry about that. Don't tell anyone. Yeah. Holding on to the losses. Yeah. Hoping it's going to come right. Like the guys did in the pan with the NAS. Bought it when it was sky high at 15,000 or something, and then just no stop loss and whole hope for the bounce. It didn't happen. Only joking, Friday. Well, it's not for me to say, but they're supposed to know what they're doing, and you trade are often overexposed without a protective stop loss and hold on when the trend is clearly changed. Yeah, well, I think you've learned enough in the trading room. That's not the wisest form of approach. Yeah, there's a lot of fuss on that. I'm not going to details, but you know the guy, Mark. One of the guys there is supposed to be an expert on that. Remember watching the Saints, Roger Moore, Simon Temple years ago, and he said, "Don't worry about him; he's an expert driver." so Simon Temple turned around and says, "Oh yeah, the graveyard's full of them." Yeah, there's a lot of broke experts running around, I'm afraid. Oh, they're knowledgeable, but yeah, I'm bloody knowledgeable. Look what happens at CFJPY trade. No, but I mean, you know, you still, I'm not holding on to that. Say buy it again, refusing to accept I'm wrong as it slips down to 140, 139, 135, and the whole account's blown. Even I wouldn't say that, even though I don't like being wrong. Who does, you know? Okay, Tomby, hope it's all good stuff you're learning. That's great stuff. Might be carried away in here, guys, but I hope you're picking up some of the banter and all the chit chat, bits and pieces, the odd grain or not sort of little bit of gem coming out of all the sand, getting the idea. Good. What was the initials? Just out of interest, because you're saying it, not me. I'm interested. I might know the person. I might blurt it out. Oh, you did? Okay. Thank you. That's intelligent. I think of that. I'm still human. Gossip. Who the hell was that? Oh, that chap. Oh, very well. Yeah. The expert from Swazi. Remember that chap? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I remember him well. The expert from Swazi. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember his name. It's a bit long for me. I remembered Mark Shearer and Fanny Murray and John Smith. When it comes down to some of these longer ones, my tongue gets sort of twisted around. Thank God we haven't got Polish experts in here or Hungarian. Oh my goodness, and we'd have like a real fun time. I think one lady's in here. No, it was another lady. Not sure she's in here. And she laughed when I tried to pronounce her name, so she gave me another name to call her. Otherwise, I gave her a trace down for laughing, you know. But yeah, I can't but I long name. But yeah, I know exactly the guy you meant. Yeah, Swazi pharmacist or dentist or no, the dentist, I think. Clever guy, but yeah, that's in the end. He was just quite good, wasn't he? I remember he was quite good at trading, but obviously that didn't work out for him. In fact, I think it worked out for a few of them by the sound of it. And the other guy, you know, I think he's with another broker now. Which no doubt was knowledgeable, but you can be knowledgeable, Mark, but if you've got a religious belief in something, you can't be shifted. And I had a religious belief that NASDAQ would never come off and continue up until it was a bit late to find out what can go down, can go up, and what can go down. Yeah. I'm afraid I've been around long enough to learn massive humility in this business. So yeah, and like a lady once said to me years ago, self-confidence usually occurs about a microsecond before you fall flat in your face. So I've never forgotten those words. So try to keep the feet on the ground. No. The other one, you know, the NASDAQ expert. No, you'll leave that alone. I won't never mention that. No, that's another story. That one. No, no, definitely not. No, it's the other one, beginning with C. Yeah, well, I would say, I'm not going to mention, get myself in trouble on that one, but and almost certainly those copy of mine anyway. If they're not, he shouldn't be doing it. because he's not like the person you mentioned, not wise to do it. Don't drop him in it. I'm just saying off the record there. But any copies he's selling would have been mine. Some of them do that. I know that for a fact. They're all mine from us anyway. But it doesn't mean to say mine are wrong if they go wrong. Often they can be misinterpreted, like the gold today. You didn't take profit, losing a profit, didn't modify, and in the end, the winner went to loser. Sometimes do it. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I just saw the WhatsApp flashing in front of me. That went over my head actually. I respect from it. Anyway, we're going off the subject a bit. Yeah. AUD, any jumping on that one? About time it did jump. No, still holding down there. Amazing, eh? Anything happened to CHF JPY? Any chance that jumping? Tried to. I think 144 might hold. Look how far it was. It's a bit there, 50 minutes. Look how far it went down. Unbelievable. It looks like the 144 is holding. You might get something back on that tomorrow, a bit of luck. But I think you might run out of steam on the gold as well. I think that's going to come back. That's starting to run out a bit of steam, I think. We'll have a look at that again tomorrow. Might make some use out of that. The NAS is still falling. They've popped up a bit. No sweat on that. You've got a small position. Very wide stop. Jump around 150 pips. Let's see how it goes. If it goes back to 12.2, don't panic. You've got a wide stop. What's happening there? Looks like that's going bloody bad. Ugh, I hope not. It's not doing much, but it's not disastrous yet. In fact, I'm going to be honest. See, there we've got to name our battle with. Zama and Zama, Zama, right? Yeah, that actually didn't do as badly as I thought at one stage, and the Swiss fell out with the Credit Suisse situation. I thought that's going to get stopped out now, and it didn't. So that's not too bad. So maybe, just maybe, we might get rescued like your euro dollar. Do you know what happened to Mark? He did okay in the euro dollar in the end. It pulled him in on the CPI. He didn't panic. He put the stop loss and suggested it in his open position. It was caught in the sell stop, cancelled his buy stop. After a little bit of jip, turned out and made quite a good profit out of it. Zama's good. Okay. Good. Well, I can try, but you have a good laugh at my expense, and I don't like being laughed at. Mind you, I've had enough practice in life. Yeah. So in a way, I can put that CPI in a way as a winner. So there you are, guys. CPI came out exactly expected, the worst scenario, and still turned out to something into a winner by proper trading principles. Can you imagine if it was a different expectation, then you made that profit probably in the first half an hour because it was a move in that speed. So we'll be doing that again for sure. That's good to hear. So I'm glad a lot of people didn't take that CHF one, because that was my trade of the century, went bloody fair up. That, I'm serious, was a record. I've never ever had a trade where a fundy, like this one here in front of it, the fundy is, I'm selling NZD and buying this one. The fundy comes in brilliantly for the NZD and bangs it up, and a separate fundy comes in negative the other one. I'm happy to be on the pair that incorporates the both of them. First ever. Yeah. Well, thank you. I thought it came out +5. Come out already. You sure about that? Not coming out +5. Anyway, I'll take your word for it. 1.5 against 1.18. So slightly higher storage, which will be a slightly negative on the oil. Okay. Just wait to see if the taps can start being which price up, start being closed off, decreasing the supply. That looks like there's an increase of supply, so it's probably a bit more down movement on that. But anyway, you got your stop, you should be out. But not take the stop out, modifying away from entry. Hope it's going to come right until you get a situation where 3 months later, half your money's in there and it's not working for you. I prefer house. Sorry, Fanny, what's that mean? I've just seen it now. I prefer house. What's that mean? Now you're going above my head. You certainly can. I think I'm losing me. House music? No, you're losing me there. Go for it. Enlighten me. Educate me, sir. Are you muted or are you muted? Oh, you're muted. Oh, sorry about that. Beg your pardon. Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Go for it.
All right. You pronounce it Zamakaya, and Kaya is house. So Zama is, am I correct? So that's why I say maybe you must pronounce it. Can we call her house?
Zama house. I get you. Of course, I know that. Actually, I knew that. Of course, and put two and two together. So instead of calling you Zamakaya, I can call you Zama House. Okay. It's like I call one guy. This is, you like this one. He's got, I think I told you before, he used to Mandra in the Springbok Hotel. This is going back about 40 odd years ago, a long time ago. And I went in,
Zama House.
Bobby accents, and I said, "Hello, Mr. Van der Berg." And it was so atrocious. He says, "Roger," he says, "either you say Fannabech or you call me Mr. McMountain." Now, Mr. McMountain in English sounds absolutely ridiculous. Brilliant. Don't you think that's brilliant? And I thought, brilliant. And I couldn't help shook his hand and said, "What a pleasure." And I had to look quickly say Fannabech, but Mr. McMountain sounds ridiculous in English. You know what I mean? It doesn't translate. Like Zama House, it doesn't work. Or, you know, if you live in the Cape, you know, De Durant. What's it called in English? The Thorn. It doesn't work in English. It just doesn't. You know what I mean? Like my ex was called Yolan. So I said Yolandi. She said, no, it's Yolan. No, Yolan. I'm sorry if you call Yolan. It doesn't work. You know, it's Yolandi or not at all. But no, she insisted. So I got used to it. So I just said Yo in the end. But yeah, sometimes the translation just doesn't work. So we'll stick to Zama. But nicely put. Great trade ideas coming in here. We're really learning a lot about languages. Never forget that. All those years ago.
Bet you like it, Zama.
Yeah. Zama House. Oh, you like it? It's cool. What about that? That's where it's not bad. Better than Mr. Mac Mountain. That does not work. Or say Joubert instead of Joubert. Hello, Mr. Hello, Meneer Joubert. All the way from Botgeitus Roos. Hello, Monsieur. It's really getting bad. Monsieur Joubert from Botgeitus Roos. How about that? Sorry, it's not the trading room, not the comedy room. If you ever get on your GPS an American pronouncing some of these places like Friedendal over here, you just don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know? Okay, anyway, let's just move on. You might get lucky on this one. I hope so, anyway. All right, we didn't get any trades out this afternoon because there's so much turmoil running around these banks and goodness knows what else till it calms down a bit. But in all honesty, apart from CHF, JPY, and the Brent, and the others seem to be not too bad. So some of them didn't take the baddies, only goodies. So overall, I don't think it's a complete disaster front. And I still think we might be able to get the gold one back again. I think we might get this gold back. What is the Dow doing? What sort of Dow? The US doing at the moment? Still pretty strong, approaching 105, and the yields starting to pick up a bit. I think this is overcooked. I think we might get a pullback of the gold actually. Maybe we should be not get too cute with it. But if you find it later on this evening, you can do. Rather maybe look at it tonight. Let the Nasdaq do its thing. You got a wide stop, and I think Brent, if it comes off to 70, bounces. Do your zero thing there, Mark, and you might get a pretty high probability trade. So, yeah, we might get it the second time round, is all I'm saying. Oh, yes, sorry, there was another one, the Intel. How's that doing? Not a disaster, 7 cents above, but If you still believe it, I do, downsides the overall picture. And even though the NAS has jumped up a bit, it's not exactly push that up to 29. So keep your fingers crossed on that one. Might turn out to be a beaut in the end. Okay, any questions, guys? Yeah, the idea is I'm having a bit of fun. Trades, they come first, but the other stuff, I try keeping an eye on that and in a responsible fashion. There's no point having nothing wrong having a bit of a laugh in the end. As long as we can laugh at ourselves, you know what I mean? And one thing I think I can say I picked up from the British culture is they can laugh at themselves. They can be arrogant, pain in the arse at times. I get that and I understand that. But there are times that they can't laugh at themselves. And that's definitely something I can do. Yes, so it's something. Hang on. Some people think some upside on this one, and it could go further up. I think we can start getting the area where it's not high enough to short it down. We've had several Microsoft trades so far in the trading room, and quite frankly, I'm not going to understate this. They have been beauts, and I think the possibility is setting up for another beaut. It might get to, what's it, the daily? It might get up to this area here. What's it now? That's not right. 263, and that says 260. Hang on, am I cracking up here? What the hell's this? This price is 264. That's the way it should be. Just gonna give me a second, guys. Just gonna knock it off. We'll go back in again. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Spend on the speed of the internet to try and get the thing up again. Because this is a possibility of a short, in my opinion. Might want to wait a bit confirmation, but I think this could be a setup here. There we are. That's still not quite sure what that is. But that's the price. Don't care what that thing is. I'm not in the mood right now, because I don't know anyway. It's probably more the point. But that price is the red line, not here. Something's happening there. So stop loss up here. 13 bucks a bit long, maybe up here. What's it going to do to get up there? It's got to have some fantastic profit figures coming out to push it up there. That's unknown. I don't know about that. But a stop up there, and then we can take it down to, that's 10, 11, 17, 18 down to, yeah, we'll definitely take it down there. Do you think we'll wait a bit going up? But I think it's a possibility of a short on this one. It's not responding on the chart at all, but I think there's a possibility of this one. We can go into position. I can't do on that one. Yeah, I think we can do a trade on this one at 264. What do you reckon, guys? Wait till tomorrow and risk missing it. We missed it last time. It's 274. I think there's a possibility of the wide enough stop. Even if it goes up a couple, you can't. You don't know that, but at least you're in if it comes off. And do anyone want to do this trade? I've got enough free margin to do it.
R&R, please.
Okay. It down, just a second. Remember, you cannot use this calculator. It's the Excel one in your watching the call in your LMS. Right. 264. Sorry. 264. Let's make it out the way. Where's 274? Up here somewhere. I think we'll make it. Can we squeeze that a bit higher? I'd rather a safer one. 275.50. It's a bit further, but at least then we're protected. And then we can take it right down here at 245. That'll give you a reasonable risk reward. What is the risk? Called $12 including costs. It's about 200 Rand a share. Right, give me a second, I'll write it up if you want to take it. There you are. So basically, if you can afford 200 bucks, it's 1. If you can afford 100, it's 5. Or 0.1 is 20. So if you can only afford 60, you go 0.3. If you can only afford 300, you go 1.5. If you go 400, you go 2. Simple arithmetic on that one. There you are. Microsoft. If you've got a bonus account, they don't do bonus accounts on shares. Tough. But if you've got, and don't try and do it on your micro account either for NASDAQ. But non-bonus or non-micro account, if you haven't got Microsoft already, just add it, add it. Quickly show you just in case, you should all know, but I'll tell you anyway. Pick to add, put it in there, and if you like it, there's the position size for you. There you go. Make sure, whatever, even if you love the trade, you've got enough free margin. And to create free margin, don't say suddenly close a bloody share. It means you are, or instrument rather, you can either add funds or, well, miss and find another one next time around. But there you are.
I love CFDs, but sometimes it's troublesome, specifically Tesla.
Tesla is the most, what should we call it, volatile of the lot. A lot of it's, quite frankly, potential rather, at the earlier stages, rather than actual value within the company. It's in other words, not a bad company got there, but really value should be there, finding corporate million. Was bid up to about 10. That's why it's volatile. Plus, when he took over Twitter, he went against the swamp. You know what I mean with the swamp? The special interest groups in America who control the information. And that's why the carrot guys on Twitter, as they do anywhere, who voiced opinions against their specific narrative. So they went against him and they pushed guys, especially, I mean, you can't be a film star unless you've been back to these who've been there for about 1 million years. Up and coming film star, you won't get work, you're out, unless you go with the providing a narrative, the political narrative. You're in trouble, big time. And so as a result of it, the guys say, I'm not touching a Tesla, even I wanted it because blah, blah, blah. And they use sort of quite strong language on it, even though it's exaggerated completely. It's, it's like saying that woman's got a big ass, comparing it with the Holocaust and things like that. They get a bit carried away. So the bottom line is it became quite volatile. Because on top of that, he's got a lot of people, as a result, like Trump, because he went against that, respected and liked him. Yet he stood up against that tide. And that's my issue. It's nothing to do with all the political aspects. I don't like totalitarianism. And it's on the verge of it now in the States and the UK, particularly the States. And you can see it from the Netflix and all the products owned by a few people pushing only that narrative. And you're the worstest possible person on the planet, even if you put your hand up and have a slight symptom against it. And they control all information. You've heard me say before, just a reminder. So it's got a lot of followers on that as well as anti. So you will get volatility. I'm just going for the overall movement. Are we agreed? We've still got a way down to come before we're out of our problems worldwide economically. So the momentum, whether you like Tesla, whether you like Microsoft, whether you like Apple, whether you like, I don't know, whatever you like, I think on the tech side, I'm very much a sell the rally still. We're not out of the woods yet. So it came down quite a bit, as you can see. Now it's rallied up since yesterday. It's rallied up since yesterday, $20-odd, which is about 11% off the top of my head, not roundabout, not exactly off the top of my head. It's in 2 days. That's radical. Remember, that's a radical move. We're not talking leverage. We're talking 11% of the equity. And so as a base of that, I think it's overcooked, and I see some downside. Volatility is a bit of a worry. Probably better to play around with it. You've got a decent size account. We don't want guys with 3 or 4 grand getting in there and often overexposing, and you get a $10, $15 move or 20 or whatever in a couple of days. It could hurt them. You know what I mean? Thank you, Zama House. A pleasure. Zama Kanya, I can say it now. Probably I broke it down. Now it falls into place. It makes sense now. Zama Kanya. That sounds better than Zama House. So. Okay, got it. Okay, anyone else take the Microsoft? Don't forget, if you can't do 200 risk, you can do 100, go 0.5. If you can do 20 rand risk, 0.1. But whatever you do, don't go 0.01. That's 2 rand risk. That's ridiculous. Bear that in mind. It's not a forest, it's a share. Yeah, I think it's just better to do it properly. Yeah. Now I can pronounce it Zamakaya. Zamakaya, easy. Okay. No one else wants to take it. I've got it written down, so we get the last slide. Just before we go, let's have your Google and the Intel. Anything on Intel? Where we go? Intel start to come off. It's back to 28. Might get real well on that one. Google 93. That's okay. Baba. Oh, it's doing nicely. Baba's doing nicely. Hey. So at least they're doing all right. The ones in it, and I'll see how Microsoft goes. And you in it? Is it coming off at all? Hovering, but give it a chance. Okay, guys, catch you tomorrow. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We had some fun, and see what we can do tomorrow. Cheers. Got to make some money as well. That's all right, having fun, but yeah. Cheers now.